Hey everyone, quick introduction about this video. This was the actual show warm-ups for BOA semifinals and finals. We kind of put both of them together, some chunks from semifinals and chunks from finals. Regardless, it was the same warm-up. In fact, one of the things that I wanted to say is that our routine, our warm-up routine, was really the same thing the last 2.5, maybe 3 weeks. So I just wanted to keep it to the same thing. I wanted to do as many reps on all of the stuff that we needed to do. There was certainly a warm-up process, and there was, you know, doing some reps on all of the things that we needed to do, whether it was tuning reps or technique reps or whatever. So created a routine to do that we could do every day if we had the opportunity. I really created really 3 parts of the warm-up. First part was a warm-up as well as woodwind technique, show technique excerpts. So there would be 9-count tones just to get mentally in the game, some woodwind technique moments, 2-note lip slur, some more woodwind show technique features. And so that was kind of the first part, is kind of get the heads in the game. Now, in this video, you see us do those, like the 2-note lip slur, for example, last phrase. Didn't need to do the whole exercise, down 3 half steps and back up. I just did last phrase, you know, just get their heads in the game. If we needed to do it again, we would. But ultimately, the goal was they were so focused that we did that slur exercise once, then moved on. The second part of the warm-up was the brass features and technical moments while the staff went out and tuned. It got a little crazy, no doubt about it, because you had multiple things going on where we had the section, like for example, the tubas, we're doing a tuba feature while, you know, kids were tuning, or they were doing whatever they did visually and part of that segment of the show. So a lot of crazy things going on, but towards the end, the kids just knew what they were supposed to do, and they were engaged. So it was great. So that was the second part. Then the third part was we all came together, and I made a list of 3 or 4 show excerpts that I wanted to do together. For example, the Ballad hit would be one that we wanted to do. Maybe the end of the show, end of the opener, things like that, where we came together and did some things together before we left. So that was the thought process behind the whole warm-up. You know, the first part of warming up the faces from a brass perspective, do some woodwind show features. The second part, tuning while we did some brass technique features. And then the last part where we came together and you know, finished doing some things together before we went out for the show. So I'm going to go through all these videos, but I'm going to kind of talk over them so you can kind of get more of the idea, and I'm going to kind of explain a couple other things for you as we went along. So hope you enjoy. Thanks. So this was our 2-note lip slur, and you could see that and hear that we went last phrase. There was one thing that we wanted to correct on this exercise. Something that I heard over to my right, and we wanted to do that again. So sometimes we want to just do the exercise, well, all the time for a show warm-up, we want to do the exercise once, but in this case, we had to do it twice, just to get them mentally in the game there. And this goes right into a woodwind show excerpt, and you can hear this is actually our closer. You can hear the woodwinds do the excerpt, and then you can see some of the kids actually do, even though they're not playing or a part of the excerpt, they are still doing what they're asked to do visually, which is cool. This is very similar. I kind of wanted to say this. I have a quarterback wristband that has what, you know, if you see a quarterback, they put the plays on there. I bought one of those, but then I put the warm-up plan in there. So I often get asked what that is. That's so I don't forget it. Now, towards the end of the year, just like the last day here, I have it all memorized. But yeah, so I just simply bought a quarterback wrist band thing that has the plays in it, and then I would put the warm-up plan in there. I also wear AirPods, and it's hooked up to my phone and watch, and sometimes so. I will make sure that I'm on the right tempo, just to give the kids reps on this is what the right tempo is, and they've done it so many times that they just know when it's the right tempo. That's why I use the sticks a lot, just go the right tempo. This last exercise before we get into the brass features was checking the concert G and the concert D. We had to really work on that to tune that up this year. Those are the first two notes right at the beginning of the show, where we turned around and we tried to, when we did the Bach, ba 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 ba, and really hard notes to tune. Concert G, concert D. So that was something that we worked on a lot the last 3 or 4 weeks actually. Then we went into the staff starts to tune, and then we do some brass features. So you can see here everything that's going on, which is really crazy. The tubas are doing the feature. You see some staff tuning, and then everybody else, if they're not doing anything, you are doing your visual responsibility. And it's so cool how a lot of them really they worked on performing. You could see their faces, it just became part of what they did. So, and by the way, you'll see some of these reps I do it again, depending on how long the rep was, I would do the rep at least 2 times. But if it was a short enough rep, I would do it 3, maybe 4 times. Again, same thing here. This is another feature in the show, and then there's tuning, and then you can see the kids do what they're supposed to be doing visually. I got the metronome in my ear. I'm going the right tempo, especially on that part of the show, which tempo was something we had to work on all year, and so I would do this 3 or 4 times. Hey guys, this is the tempo. You got to go the tempo. Don't listen to the pit. Watch the drum major. All that kind of stuff. So yeah, I think this is the trumpet feature. Again, same thing. I'm just going down my list of brass features while the staff tunes. So this was the second part of what the warm-up plan was. Yeah, I told them to line up the 1s and 3s. They actually had to, the first measure, they really had to line up the 2s and 4s, but then after that, it's line up the 1s and 3s. So we did it again. Tuba's always played. I did that a while ago because we had changed the tuba rhythm throughout the year. So I always had the tubas play, whether it was the baritone feature or the trumpet feature. The tubas just always played. And the tubas were a great section. And this is the last tuba feature of that production. And this is really close to the order that I did. The whole warm-up, I think we're skipping a few things, but you're not missing anything. But this is close to what the order was. Actually, I think it's exactly what the order was on the list. And page 18 was the last thing that we did before we did things as a whole group. This was another tempo thing that we really had to work on through the course of the year from a whole ensemble standpoint. The baritones going the tempo, playing with the bass drums, and the woodwinds come here towards the end. We had a soprano sax soloist who was outstanding, but it played some really hard stuff. And then getting those triplets together, it was just something that took us all year to get right. So I would do it again. It was just, and I had a rule that if there was something that I was worried about, or I was going to hold my breath during a performance. We did that a lot. So this was one of those moments. So I would do this 3 or 4 times. And if I had time, I would do it another time. Yeah, another one. You get a different view on this one. This was probably maybe finals or just a really important part of the show that we had to work on a lot. You know, not only playing well, but playing together. And that was the last chunk of features. So after all that, everybody's done tuning, and I would do some exercises. This was just taking that pachelbel chorale and doing it slow so they could hear the chords. Breaking all of those chords down in that, that pachelbel canon sequence. And having them really listen and matching all of that. And then listening to that downbeat sustain there, that concert B flat where the woodwinds and mellophones sustain that. Just having them hear that, and adjust if they needed to do so. And then I went into the ballad, this ballad production here. This was another one that we needed to work on going the tempo. So I would make sure that we went the tempo. We were spread out with the drill. They just needed to move together, play with a great sound, do the dynamics, play in tune. They do the body along with it. And at the end on this clip, I actually stopped conducting. And I did that because I wanted to make sure that they would they would listen to each other, really blend sound, and we didn't get any stick outs or anything. So I stopped conducting there. So when they decrescendoed and they were forced to listen to each other. And then they crescendoed, forcing to listen to each other. So that's why I did that. So that was generally it. And that was the routine that like I said, that was the routine that we did the last 2.5, 3 weeks. I wanted consistency. I wanted a routine. I wanted constant reminders, and I wanted reps. So that's why we did that. And I hope you got something out of that. I hope you saw an idea that might work for you. I was like, well, that's a cool idea. I can apply that to what we do. So I hope you're able to do that. And by the way, this idea of developing a routine that can be applied to any ensemble, concert band, jazz band, chamber groups, and the marching arts. Obviously, you could apply that, and of course I do, but it's never exactly the same because the kids are different. The show is different. The technique is different. And when I mean technique, the music is different. The technique is always the same for us. The fundamental program is always the same, but the skills are different at times that you have to develop. So next year will be totally different. The last year was totally different. So yeah, you just kind of adapt it and make it whatever that year needs, and go from there. Anyway, like I said, hope you got something out of it, and thanks for watching.